Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the Douglas School Committee to order on March 4th at 6:30 p.m. I'd like to read the Douglas Public Schools mission statement. The Douglas Public Schools offers a diverse learning experience that meet the academic, social, physical, and emotional needs of all of our students. We provide a safe, supportive, and a challenging learning environment in which students may exceed academic success and personal growth. Decisions are made in the best interest of our students. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. I'd like to call forward our student representatives, which are Maya Hipprich and Juliana Gallagher, please.
I'm Mia Hupprich.
And I'm Juliana Gallagher.
And we're sophomores at Douglas High School. The high school held its third MyCap session right after the mid-year exams. Seniors are in the process of completing their financial literacy tasks. Juniors and sophomores are working towards building job skills and resume building, mock interviews, and the application process. Freshmen have been continuing down the path of self-discovery and creating their vision board.
The artifacts we have created for this have been uploaded to our MIFA Pathway account, which helps track our college and career readiness through the counseling department.
We have held our annual winter carnival before February break. It started with our snowball dance on the Friday before, concluded with our lip sync battle.
Some of the events happening around the school that day included snow sculpture, window painting, hula hoop relay, and Hungry Hippos competition.
The senior class won the event.
We are about halfway through our third term and we will be getting progress reports tomorrow.
We just finished up our initial meeting of course selections for the next year. We will be meeting individually with our counselors to make any adjustments before the schedule for the next year is run.
Some upcoming events are the girls basketball is currently playing, and if they win, we will have a game either Friday or Saturday right here at the high school.
Our next MyCap session is on April 7th.
All sophomores will have the ELA MCAS exam on March 24th and 25th.
Junior Job Shadow Day is March 26th.
Spring sports begin on March 16th.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody here for public comment? Please come up and state your name and your address, please. Yep. Yes, please.
Hi, everyone. Pardon my appearance. I'm just coming from work. My name is Lori Hutnack. I'm a resident of Douglas since 2009. I currently live at 4 Martin Road. I just purchased the house on 4 Martin Road on end of January, and I moved in formally this past Saturday. Prior to that, I was renting a home on Depot Street at 41 Depot Street. The late Robert Josie was my landlord, then his son Scott became my landlord. I lived there for about a year with my 3 sons, Harrison, 6th grade, Benjamin, 3rd grade, Samuel, 1st grade. Prior to that, I lived on South Street from approximately 2015 to December of 24 when I sold that home. I chose to stay in Douglas, but did not feel prepared, mostly financially speaking, to purchase a home immediately in Douglas. I spent a year saving for a down payment and found a home that satisfied my needs and look forward to many years ahead. When I began with emailing Penny Lancaster, wonderful school secretary of the Douglas Primary School, to let her know that I have moved and I will no longer be on the bus D5, and per the Douglas School's bus route, it appeared that I would need to move to a different bus route. Penny wrote back that she would be reaching out to the bus company and would reach back out to me. She responded by saying, "I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but your home of 4 Martin Road is 0.6 miles away from the schools, so your children are considered walkers." I said, "I understand that that is the policy, thank you," and began my research. When I lived at 41 Depot Street, my children crossed the road to the bus stop at technically 40 Depot Street, so that is on bus number 5. 40 Depot Street to the elementary school is 0.8 miles. 4 Martin Road to the elementary school is 0.7 miles. 40 Depot Street to the middle school is 0.9 miles. 4 Martin Road to the middle school is 0.8 miles. Ladies and gentlemen, I work Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Shirley, Massachusetts at Sousa Baranowski Correctional Center. Prior to moving to 4 Martin Road, I would put my youngest 2 children on the bus at approximately 8:05 a.m. and depending on Worcester and 290 traffic, will arrive at work at approximately 9:05. Being tasked now to drive my 2 youngest children to work is causing me to be approximately 20 to 30 minutes late a day. It's very disruptive to our lives. My children's father, my ex-husband Mark, met with you this afternoon. Dr. Vieira, thank you so much for your time. I very much appreciate that. And I understand that a decision will be forthcoming. I'm a single mother. I'm the primary parent of these 3 children. I work a very stressful job. I have a very long commute. It is very disruptive to drop off my children and arrange for pickup. Were we truly, my biggest qualm is that the distances are the same between my old home where we took the bus and my new home. Further, the stop before mine on Martin Road is 12 Martin Road. I am willing to walk to that house. That house is approximately 3 to 4 houses from 4 Martin Road. My children's father, Mark, he's actually standing in the doorway. He was told by Diana Landry, I understand she's the business and operations manager, that 12 Martin Road has some kind of accommodation where they can take the bus. I would like to know if I can apply for an accommodation, being, my schedule is difficult. Just trying to think if I had anything else that I wanted to say. I can leave everyone with the maps, with the distances. I've chosen to stay in Douglas. I grew up in Connecticut. I could have gone back down home, and I think this is a beautiful, lovely town. I work in a really stressful, assaultive environment, frankly, and I don't want to come home to stress like this, where now I need to plot out. Further, we're at the tail end of the school year. This is, most aftercare programs are full. I also don't have the means financially to hire a babysitter or hire someone to retrieve the children or drop the children off. Last point is that these children are in 3 different schools: primary, elementary, middle. Drop-off is as such: 7 a.m. Harrison, 8:10 a.m. Benjamin, 8:15 Samuel. Pickup is 2 p.m. Harrison, 2:45 p.m. Benjamin, 2:55 p.m. Samuel. This is a large burden on a family. I thank you so much for your time, folks, and I don't know if you want, I'm getting people's courts memories where I want to hand this to the bailiff, to Judge Wapner, but would anyone, thank you, you know what I'm talking about.
You can give that to Dr. Vera.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
I'm good. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else here for public comment? Seeing that there is none, moving on to old business.
We don't have any?
Moving on to new business and superintendent's report, please.
Right. One thing that's not on the agenda is we see a nice young man sitting in the back row. On Friday of last week, we got to honor Mr. O'Brien at his retirement party. His birthday was on Monday of this week, and he officially retired from public education on Monday. He has a nice 4-day break, and he begins next Monday doing believe a 6-week to 8-week maternity substitute teaching job for a 5th grade classroom in Connecticut. So he's looking forward, as he says, to practice what he's been preaching all these years as administrator, going back inside the classroom. But in the back, we have Bill Bishop, who is our interim middle school principal from now until June 30th. Bill was so excited to leave the sunny state of Florida and come back to Massachusetts to join us for the warm winter months. So we're happy to have Bill. He's hit the ground running. So thank you, Mr. Bishop.
It's a pleasure. We have a beautiful school, and the kids are just really fun. And I think we're going to have a good relationship over the next 12 months. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So first on the agenda, we have Margaret Bacon for the Building Facilities and Construction Committee vacancy that the school committee is charged with filling every 3 years. So the purpose of this committee is to oversee and direct major public improvements constructed within the town and provide consistent and professional oversight over public construction projects within the town. The committee shall consist of 7 voting members, of whom 3 shall be appointed by the town moderator, 3 shall be appointed by the Board of Selectmen, and 1 shall be appointed by the school committee. So that's what we're charged here. I'm gonna have Margaret come up, tell us a little bit about yourself, give the committee the opportunity to ask some questions, and then when we get down to the consent agenda, we can make a motion to appoint, or we can just move it to this section.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening. Margaret Bacon. I've been a resident of Douglas since 2010. I'm a professional engineer. I'm towards the end of my career, so I'm looking to get a little more involved in, the different town boards and committees. It was brought to my attention that there was an opening on the Buildings and Facilities Committee, and this one opening has to be approved by the school committee. So I do have a lot of I got a wide breadth of experience. I currently have my own civil engineering company in town. I've been running that for the past 10, 15 years, and prior to that, I worked for the Department of Corrections in the engineering department. In that role, we worked with a lot of facilities. I look at the corrections at every one of the state prisons. They're pretty much like little cities. Wastewater treatment plants, power plants, water treatment facilities, buildings galore, utilities galore. So I got a lot of experience in facilities through the Department of Corrections, and then I was also utilities and facilities superintendent up in the town of Spencer for a couple of years. Same thing, oversaw the water department and the facilities department. So I have a wide breadth of experience, but and then right now I do a lot of private development in town, residential development, small development, so a lot of site work. But I do have an interest, like I say, to get more involved in some of these town boards, and I'm also on the Zoning Board of Appeals, which I kind of enjoy. I'm on the Stormwater Committee, which I kind of enjoy, and the Master Plan Committee, which I kind of enjoy. So I kind of enjoy being on these boards. I learn a lot, and I meet a lot of great people. So that's what brings me here tonight, looking for the Select Board to vote and approve.
Any questions from the committee? I would just like to thank you for your volunteering, right? I serve on another board too as well. I'm on the Finance Committee, and anytime we get volunteers, we are very excited to have somebody to join us. So thank you so much for coming in tonight. Stay tuned, because I'm sure when we get to the consent agenda, we'll be doing the appointment for you, so.
Okay, so if you don't need me any further, because
You got another committee to go to?
ZBA.
All right.
I start at 7, so I'm gonna have.
Perfect.
They
Thank you
lead
very much.
opposite of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in.
We were going to have Mackenzie Bellinger from the American Heart Association present. We've done a lot of work with Mackenzie, the principals of schools, families, and I just wanted her to come and talk a little bit about the partnership that's been created between the schools, families, students, and the Heart Association. She had a childcare issue, so she's coming on the 18th. So we're going to push that out to the 18th. Next on the agenda is an update on the FY27 preliminary budget. And I'll wait for that to go up. All right. So again, here's an update. Our last update was on February 4th. As we always do, we start off with our mission statement, as we read earlier today. Our priority areas for improvement are as always focused around academic excellence, community partnerships, the well-being of all, local and global citizenship, and that growth mindset for students. Our goal in this budget is to present a balanced FY27 budget that reflects our financial realities and responsibilities. So that's what we've aimed to do. I've tasked the principals and the directors to be working on, and that's what we're presenting a portion of tonight. As I did last month, we have 7 major buckets that encompass our budget. It's salaries and wages, it's other salary-related items such as substitute teachers, training, course reimbursements, special education, instructional supplies, custodial, grounds and equipment, utilities, and the classic all other, which is, athletics, audits, legal supplies. So those are 7 buckets that make up our budget. Our revenue drivers, as I said earlier, as was the case in '25, special education tuition, contracted services, and other services have continued to dramatically increase in FY26 as they did in FY25 and will increase again in FY27. We also have seen the decrease in low balances in our circuit breaker and school choice revolving accounts. So those are our major budget drivers. We want to talk a little bit about the work, and Diane and I will go back and forth since our last meeting on February 4th. At that time, we had approximately a $2.6 million deficit that we had to close. In the past month, what you see before you now represents a $1.38 million reduction from where we were at on February 4th. So Diane is going to take the first 3 and walk you through a little bit about what we've done and what the principals and the directors have done with technology, supplies, and facilities.
We sharpened our pencils, and I had to make some really hard decisions in terms of what were we going to do to come down to meet that 2.8 deficit that we had. Technology, the majority of the asks were moved, meaning teacher refresh for one of our schools. We have teachers that they have 10-year-old computers. It's not lost on us, but you can't do one without doing multiple. We are moving that we're doing a mix of things and moving things into rural aid or a capital ask. We do have a rural aid grant out there. We are going to try to move some of our items to that, including things in technology like the teacher refreshes. Interactive panels is something that we're looking at as well. That was cut out of the budget. Also, the computer lab is lacking up here at the high school for computer science classes. So we have pulled those. This is a list of things we pulled out of the budget. We're going to try to get other ways. One thing that got cut completely was we do need a key card upgrade, getting in and out of the building and for safety reasons, but we've pushed that to the side. When it comes to supplies and other, this is really where I had to work with the building principals to say, what do we need? Just to note, this first pass included everything that the teachers asked for. They were told, we're putting the budget in, please let us know everything that you would like for your classroom. So there were a number of items that were a little more wish list as opposed to necessity. Those are the things that we really cut out of this budget. The 3-year-old calculator would like some brand new ones. You know what, we can kind of push that off a bit. Another thing that we're really asking the administrative assistants for the help in is the actual purchasing. We are part of a tech bid. We do go through all, as many state contracts as possible. we all find our favorite stores, right? You have your favorite cart that's out there. So I think we're gonna try to say, what can we do? Can we buy a pallet of paper and split it across two schools as opposed to each school buying boxes? So really going to help, ask for the help of the administrative assistants to help in purchasing that. So those are some of the kind of the cuts on that supply line that we're making. When it comes to facilities, and facilities is still being looked at, I do have a number of quotes out for some different services such as rubbish and things. We do believe that we have savings there. We've been able to adjust some of our fuel estimates for next year. We've also looked into some of the supplies that we've looked at in facilities and said, what ways can we maybe take on the work? We typically, sometimes we contract out our fertilization. No, we're gonna keep that in-house, which is a weird one because you have to buy the fertilizer in order to do it. But we are trying to look for savings, and we're still going to continue to look. But I have to say, especially with those 3 items, the pencil was sharp. The principals made some really, really difficult decisions in terms of what types of supplies that they would cut in the budget.
And the priority was people and programs over things as we were working on the budget. Next is we have 4 unfilled positions that have been unfilled this year that we're not going to be refilling next year. And 2 of them are an ABA at the elementary school, and another one is a paraprofessional at the primary. And we're still able to meet the needs. This is as a result of changing IEPs and some programmatic changes that we were able to. Those positions weren't filled this year, and per IEPs, we don't need those positions in order to maintain the services for students. So we're looking for a reduction there. And we've had on the budget an OT therapist 4 years that we haven't been able to fill. We've contracted those services out, but we haven't been able to hire. So that's 4 open positions. And we have 2 retirees this year. We have a music teacher at the high school who's retiring. And what we're going to do is we're going to farm out some of their classes to staff. But we were lucky this year. Mr. Ringett did some hiring, and we hired a computer science teacher who's been a lifelong music teacher and decided to, for fun, take the computer science test, passed it, and applied here in Douglas as a computer science teacher at the high school. Mr. Ringett was interviewing him, and he said, hey, help me understand why a 20-year veteran with music wants to do computer science. And they had the conversation. He said, hey, there's a chance our music teacher could be retiring in a few years. And he jumped at the chance to mirror the 2 together. So the computer science teacher will be doing band and chorus along with computer science during the day, and the rest of those sections will be farmed out to other people. The other section is the Spanish teacher at the middle school. And she's retiring, so we would not be filling that position. Again, for the ripple effect, the domino effect of that might change some of the class sizes for electives and specials at the middle school. The other thing it does is it does 2 things here at the high school. One, students will no longer have the ability to reach Spanish 5, but we're typically only seeing 2 or 3 kids reaching Spanish 5. And at the end of sophomore year here in Douglas, currently students who take Spanish at the end of sophomore year are at Spanish 3, now they'll be at Spanish 2, still fulfills the mass course, still fulfills the requirements for students who will not have the ability to get, if at the end of their sophomore year, to get to Spanish 2. We have a couple of wage adjustments that we did for $12,900. We had Panorama, which is our SEL screener that we had for years. We had it with a grant for 2 years. We funded out of the budget. We're gonna look online to see if we can get some free online screeners. The test questions that Panorama provides are available online. They're part of open source, so we can still have access to those questions. We'll just have to calculate them. And then Care Solace is the last one, which is $7,500, which is an online resources where parents and families can go to look for counseling services. Family Continuity does the same thing for free. So we're going to continue with Family Continuity. The difference between the 2 is Care Solace provides us with a lot of data. Here's how many people signed up. Here's how many times we called the parent. And here's how many appointments were filled. Where Family Continuity doesn't really provide that data to us. So those are the line item cuts that we've had in the amount of almost $701,000. And I'll have Diana talk a little bit about increase in funding sources.
So 2 ways to kind of balance this out to make the cuts of the 1.3. Those were all the expenses. Now, what ways can we add into this budget? After reviewing school choice, how school choice works, our students go out. There's a revenue component based on the number of students that we have in the building, and then there's that expense part. Notoriously, and you will see on the next slide, we'll go through this, but our balances in the school choice have always been 2 million. We started this year at 1.5 million, and I am anticipating that we're going to start next year at 700,000. How did I get an extra 100,000 out of this in the past month? There's a number of expenses that go against school choice. A lot of those happen to be facility type related. You don't know. We had 3 actuators go today with the change in the weather. So we budget what we can, but when we have these items, they do come out of school choice. Large unanticipated expenses end up getting put into school choice. What I did over the past month was try to take another projected look out of what we were going to use for the rest of the year, and I felt comfortable enough to say, okay, I think we'll go in a little bit. I think a month ago, I was saying that we'd go in with an opening balance of 600,000. I think now we'll walk in with 700,000. Very similar situation with circuit breaker. So our revenue comes in. Here's the thing. We don't know, at a max, we could get reimbursed circuit breaker up to 75% over the threshold. We know what the threshold is for this year. It is $53,000, so we would get reimbursed a percentage on anything over that. We don't know that we can absolutely budget at that level. That can change, and that's both on the transportation as well as the tuition side. So after kind of reviewing circuit breaker, after working with the SPED director to say, are we encumbered? Are we encumbered? Do we have everything in this budget that we can? Up till today, we have everything that we know in this budget. We don't know if there would be a new student tomorrow. Something could happen. Something can happen. So I'm still holding on to a little bit in circuit breaker because we need to make it through the rest of this year as well. But felt comfortable enough to release 100,000 into next year's budget. Grants. We actually just got some news today. I thought we were okay, kind of level funding our grants. So I kind of bumped that up and gave the extra 100,000 that I had held back. We have to, based on a meeting today with the superintendents, we're probably only going to be able to use about 85% of that. So more adjusting to come. Preschool revolving wasn't included last go around because we were in the midst of looking at what our tuition rates would be, so I wasn't sure what to put in. So that would be a change. And then other revolving, we have a little bit the athletics and facilities. It wasn't included in the prior version, so we made an estimate for that. Bringing it down to our change February 4th to tonight of a $1.3 million change, therefore closing the gap to about 1.5 million.
Go ahead.
I was to say before you move on, because that was a lot of information. I'm going to go backwards because of what you just said. Okay. I wrote down preschool, this is with the increases that we just approved?
Yes.
Okay. And then just really quickly, when you mentioned technology and the cards to get people in, do we have like any concerns about currently the system that we have in place? There's no technology faults or like doors that are, like, it works what we have now?
What we have now works.
Okay.
It's antiquated, and if it were to break, it would be an emergency purchase.
Okay.
Meaning the server that these are held on, not the actual card itself or, you know, going to the door, but the server that makes the whole system work is very, very, very antiquated.
Meaning if it goes down and is it even replaceable at this point? Is it one of those technologies that's, we might not be able to get it?
Probably have to replace everything.
Would probably.
You'd have to replace the entire thing. Got it, okay.
So what we've done is
Yeah.
we've moved the servers into capital. And we were working with Mike Fitzpatrick and Matt Wojcik in capital to move that from our operating to capital. And then we've used some of the money for rural aid to offset some technology needs. But we're looking at purchasing, I believe we have 4 servers. We'd be going to 2 servers, 3? 2
Would go
servers.
from 3 to 2.
3 to 2, and then we're doing that through capital.
Okay.
Yep.
And then my last point, I just want to call it out because I just heard like multiple parent conversations that have gone on within the town of Douglas over the years. Cutting language at the middle school is a big hit, in my opinion, to Douglas public education because surrounding towns start languages much earlier than we do. So totally understand why this is completely necessary at this point. I would just like to raise the point, especially to my fellow committee members, that the moment that we can somehow get language back into our classrooms, I really want that to be a priority, at least for me, and the parent conversations that I know happen within our town because they're already frustrated that we do not start language until the 8th grade. But I understand why they're retiring and
when we get to the end, I'll talk
Okay.
a little bit more about that. Okay?
Thank you.
So one of the major ways that we've always offset our budget is through the use of these revolving accounts. And Ms. Landry talked a little bit about it, but I just want to, again, reemphasize where we're starting FY '27. If you look at circuit breaker, we're projecting it starting at $406,000. Over the past 2 years, we've seen so many changes throughout the course of the year with move-ins, change of placements, and different things we've had to do. 4 or 5 years ago, I'd be more comfortable drawing down that number a little bit lower. With what we've seen the past 2-3 years, we make ourselves extremely vulnerable that if we have a move-in, if we have a change in placement, if anything happens, we're gonna draw that number down to a negative. In the past, we also had a very healthy balance in school choice, hovering over $2 million. Next year, we're going at $700,000. So to dip that circuit breaker much below that $400,000 leaves us vulnerable, especially given the fact that school choice, which was, we always used to start at over $2 million, this year was at 1.5, and next year we're looking at about $700,000, okay? No surprise, we've had a lot of snow recently. Town, maybe Ms. Warren knows, but I think the number I heard, we're over $300,000 in our snow budget from what we budgeted for, okay? We're not over that much, but we've had to call in custodians for overtime. We've had to call custodians in early in the morning to do things. Diana said that we had 3 actuaries go today,
Yes.
which we have to repair. Things just happen. So we need to have those reserves. What we don't want to have happen is get to a point where we're running in the red, and in October, November, December, January, have to cut staff to balance our budget. So that's why we're trying to be very cautious with these line items. And people might say, draw them down to keep staff, which is always an option. However, it just leaves us very vulnerable if anything happens next year. So the next slide is one that you've seen. And again, where we're at now, the FY '27 delta is down to $1.5 million that we have to look to reduce between now and our April 8th public hearing. This next slide is a tough slide for me to talk about, and one that's caused us a lot of stress and a lot of sleepless nights. Our next steps. First 3, additional reductions through line item analysis. We're going to continue to look at those line items because, again, we prioritize people and programs over things. We might be able to eke out $15,000, $20,000 between now and the public hearing. The possible use of revolving funds, you saw where we're at. We were just in a meeting today with the commissioner, and because Massachusetts dropped 10% below where they were a few years ago from the poverty limit, our Title I funding is taking about a 10 to 12% hit. They said to be cautious, budget for 85% of what you got, hoping you might get 90%. but that's an additional $16,000. So I don't see a lot coming from additional use of revolving funds, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000. I've had a great conversation with Matt Wojcik 2 weeks ago. Myself, Ms. Landry, met with Matt and Jean Lovett on Monday. They understand the situation that we're in, and they want to help us. What that help looks like, they need to figure out. So they're waiting for things to come in from the towns, from the other departments. I don't know the answer. Matt knows what our timeline is. He knows what our public hearing is. I have a follow-up meeting with Matt on Monday to talk about things. I don't know when he'll be able to give us a number, but we're looking at possible resources from the town. Again, I don't know what that number is, but it's not going to be 1.5 million to close the gap, which brings us to the difficult conversation. The only way to close that gap, whether it's 1.2, 1.3, whatever the number is through staff reductions, and it's through significant staff reductions. And we've always said, and I've always maintained, that we do that as a last resort. We're continuing to have discussions internally. How do we make these reductions with the least significant impact on our students? And that's what we've been working for. I don't want to present positions at this time. I don't know where we're going to get for additional line item analysis. I don't want to tell someone we're cutting a position, then say a week later, we found additional funds, we can bring you back. I don't know what Matt's going to be able to offer for resources. So we're going to do some presentations on the 18th for a portion of our reductions, and probably do the remainder of our reductions on the 8th, based off of the information we receive from Matt and the funding that he could potentially allocate towards us. Some of the conversations that we had for the committee to know is there's really 3 ways that the town can help us out. First way is to use part of the educational budget that hasn't been spent towards the school department in FY26. Maybe we over budgeted for transportation. Maybe there was one less kid that went to BVT. So that's sitting in a pocket of money that the town's looking to reimburse us back, or dipping into free cash to fund the schools. Bringing that money back into our FY26 budget allows us to do reclassifications back to school choice, which allows us to use greater school choice funds for FY27. That's one mechanism. Second mechanism would be through additional allocation through the spring town meeting. That town meeting isn't until May 4th, and that money wouldn't be allocated to us until July 1. So it makes for different decisions, knowing that we may not know what we're getting for money until May, and we won't receive the money until July 1. And the third mechanism would be through the fall town meeting in November. And again, we can't hire staff in November. And what we would have to do would be looking at some contracted services, maybe some revolving accounts, and moving funds with the hope that on town meeting floor in November, additional funds would be reallocated back to the school department. But those are the 3 variables. They're still doing their work on the town side to see what they can do, but those are the 3 mechanisms, and all 3 would cause us to react differently as to what we do for reductions to get to a balanced budget by April 8th. So to your point, I'm a retired Spanish teacher, so I value, my father's a retired Spanish and Latin teacher. I get it, but when you're looking at probably over $1 million in staff reductions, this is going to be widespread across the district. And in this case, it's not a person who's losing their job, it's an unfilled, it's being done as a result of retirement. It's one of the considerations we made. Happy to answer questions at this time.
No questions right now, but I do want to say this is a total stinker, but we knew that. And I want to say thank you guys to everybody who's working on, getting whatever juice is left in the lemon. But I do think it's important to note that this isn't unique to our district.
No, it's not.
That this is an issue for anybody that's at home watching on your Wednesday night, and that this is what you want to do, that this is happening across the Commonwealth. And probably across the country, but I can speak for the Commonwealth because of, just in passing, you talk to any parent in any town, literally across the state, and they're like, oh no, this is happening. And so misery loves company. So I think it's important to note that this is not just a Douglas problem. It's a sign of, or a symptom of a larger problem that we'll probably be discussing in times to come. But really, truly, this is a tough, tough place to be in. And it's really great to hear that you guys are valuing people in the staff, in the students, first and foremost, right? Like the idea of like a pallet of paper. I mean, it's simple, but could save some money, right? Like, and these little things, these little things certainly do add up. So thank you.
There are no easy choices, right? And so I look forward to more of hearing the discussion, but we do have some hard decisions we're going to have to make. So, and I don't think any of us take that lightly, right?
And for the committee to know, just like I did that, I will be emailing everyone tomorrow with just an update. Again, some people watch the school committee meeting, not everyone does, and I just don't want anyone being blindsided. So I'll do an all-call email to everyone tomorrow, filling them in on this discussion so people are aware of where we're at and what the next steps are going to be.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Moving over to the school committee and subcommittee report, the accounts payable.
Double checking that that's me. Buzz. All right. Accounts payable warrant reports. Warrant date 1/29/26 and 1/30/26. Warrant numbers 30 SCH26, 30 SCHL26, and HS26-06 in the grand total amount of $194,625.61. Approved with no irregularities. And let me make sure there's not another one on that one. And the next one. Warrant date, Heather, these were signed by you?
You can read. Yeah.
Want me to read them for you?
Yeah, you can read them for me.
Excellent. All right, so warrant date 2/12/26 and 2/13/26. Warrant numbers 32 SCH26, 32 SCHL26, MS26-07, HS26-07, and meals 26, and the grand total amount of $177,566.50, approved by Heather Moran.
And there was nothing out of the ordinary with those approvals. Thank you so much. Moving on to the consent agenda and the February 4th meeting minutes. If nobody has any issues with them, I'd be looking for a motion.
I have an edit.
You have an edit, okay.
Let's see here, underneath the approval of the preschool fees, I voted against. So if that correction could be made.
Okay.
Other than that, with that amendment change,
Yep.
I would make a motion to approve the February 4th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Motion made by Julia with her amendments.
Second by Meg.
Second by Meg. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Thanks. Next is the Douglas High School overnight field trip for DECA. Yay!
I feel like I'm up here just about every year around this time to discuss whatever DECA might be accomplishing at this stage. So obviously members of the DECA club at the high school here have qualified for the state competition. They qualified through the regional district competition that was held, I believe, over at Nichols College just about a month and a half ago. The DECA States competition is being held at the Seaport Convention Center in Boston, which is always a nice little place to go. and it's from March 12th through the 14th, which is next weekend. It's an overnight trip to Boston. They have prescribed activities for the students throughout the entire conference, and the students are scheduled to stay at the Renaissance Seaport Hotel during this time. A total of 7 students qualified, with 1 chaperone, Mr. Hillman. He is the DECA advisor. He has been for the last few years now. Plans on attending as well. The schedule is to leave on Thursday, March 12th, and return on Saturday, March 14th, after everything is all said and done. And transportation has been accounted for this trip already. Financial impact, all costs related to the student events covered by this would be financially covered by the student fundraising and or donations, as well as student fees that they might have to charge. Advisor fees would require use of funds of approximately $850 from the high school other expenditures student advisor fees budget line. I believe that's typically the place where we gather that information from. So I'm going to pause there and ask if there's any questions.
Yep, awesome.
All right, this is just the next step, because the next time I'm up here about DECA, it might be about
Nationals.
going to nationals.
So we're looking for a motion.
I'll move to approve permission for students in the DECA Club to attend the state conference from March 12th through March 14th, 2026 at the Renaissance Seaport Hotel in Boston.
Motion made by Julia, second by?
Meg.
Second by Meg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Wish them the best of luck, and we look forward to hearing.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we don't forget, would the committee like to approve Margaret Bacon as the Building Facilities and Construction Committee appointee from the school committee?
Be looking for a motion.
I'll take that motion.
Motion made by Meg, seconded by?
Becky? Seconded by Becky?
So, seconded by Becky. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Awesome. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Right.
Moving on to the DTAs, MOAs.
And I think Mr. Ringett, did Mr. Reardon drop those off with you?
I have not been handed them personally.
Okay.
Might be my mailbox.
Maybe in your mailbox, could you by checking, depending on how this vote goes? So one of the discussions superintendents have had across the Commonwealth is a lot of schools start the Monday before Labor Day. It's great when Labor Day is on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd. It's not so great when Labor Day is on the 7th, 8th, and 9th. It just pushes the end of the school year out tremendously. So one of the things a lot of schools have done, and we had a great meeting with the DTA, is looking to change, write an MOA to change the start date for the 26, 27, and 27, 28 school year, to have it not be the Monday before Labor Day, but to have it be 2 Mondays before Labor Day. So we've always come back around the 24th, 26th, 27th of August. We'd be looking to come back the same dates. So there's 2 different memorandums. One is for next school year and one's for the next year. So what we would be looking to do is, for next year, the first teacher day for the 26-27 school year would be August 26th, which, just for me to check, day of the week.
It's a Wednesday. 2026, August 26th?
Is a Tuesday. Is a Tuesday. So teachers would come back on the 25th and 26th, and then students would come back on the 27th and 28th of school for their first 2 days. Then the following week, teachers would come back and students would come back the 31st, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. We've traditionally had the Friday before Labor Day off for a 4-day weekend, and then everyone come back full-time on the 8th. So really what this does, and we saw it this year, we've seen it in previous years, more snow, whether it's global warming, whatever it is, we're just worried about that end of the school year going too late. About 3 years ago, and again, I don't know what's going to happen, but we added Juneteenth in as a holiday. Right now, our last day of school is Thursday, the 18th, and it's a half day. if we have one more snow day, our last day of school is Monday, whatever that is, the 22nd, 23rd, a half day after a 3-day weekend, which we all know what attendance will probably be across the board. So we're really looking to not go too deep into June and start school a week earlier. So it's a conversation that we had with the DTA. They voted, I think it was like 98% of the membership to start earlier. And because it's a changing calendar, we would need school committee approval also to make that happen. And it would be for next school year and the one after that as well, too. Questions?
We need to do a motion.
We need to do a motion for each, please.
I'd be looking for a motion for the changing of the school year for FY 2026 to 2027.
So moved.
Motion made by Julia, seconded by?
Meg.
And seconded by Maggie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay. I'd be looking for another motion for the 2027-2028 school year.
So moved.
It's moved by Julia, seconded by?
Meg.
Seconded by Meg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay.
Thank you, and I have the signatures for you to look at. All right, next, because who doesn't like to do policy at 7:30 at night? So what we have, and again, for those who haven't watched or are watching now, we're looking at updating our policy manual. And the way we're attacking, and we chose to attack it, is we have the policy manual that was provided to us through the MASC years ago. And there are several updates and revisions that have happened over the past 4, 5, 6, 7 years that we need to formally adopt. So for this go-around and this pass-through, what I'm proposing and what we're going to do is we're really taking things one letter at a time. I think when we get down to C and D, they're small, so we'll do those two together. And we're looking at making the updates for the policies that the MASC has updated that we have not updated as part of our manual. So in front of you, you have one set of documents, and on your computer, you have the updated policies. So in front of you are the old ones, and on your computer, you have the new ones. I'm gonna go through these with you and really just highlight the substantive changes in them. So for AA and AB, there aren't any changes. All we're really looking for is there's been no official adoption date, so we'd be looking for an adoption date 3 meetings from now. The next policy is AC, the non-discrimination policy including harassment and retaliation. The proposed revision reflects the MASC language that came out in August 22 and aligns with the district with current Massachusetts and civil rights laws. The policy also explicitly includes protections against harassment, retaliation, strengths enforcement language, and broadens applicability to all members of the school community, including volunteers and contractors. ACR is a new one, the non-discrimination policy, including harassment and retaliation. And again, this establishes a more formal procedure for responding to complaints. ACAB is sexual harassment titled, and the proposed revision of the policy updates the policy to align with current federal Title IX regulations in Massachusetts law. The revised policy also clarifies reporting obligations, including mandatory Section 51A reporting and referral to law enforcement when appropriate. These updates are necessary to ensure full compliance with current Title IX regulations. Next is ACE, ACE, non-discrimination on the basis of disability. This would be considered technically a language update, and it's really revision around modernizing terminology, for instance, replacing handicap with disability, so just changing some language. ADC is tobacco products on school premises, and oddly enough, this really just is a little more robust, and instead of just saying tobacco topics, it talks about small cigarettes, big cigarettes, vapes, electric cigars, pipes, just really the whole breadth of what's out there now as opposed to just what was out there 10 years ago. ADDA is background checks. The 2022 policy is streamlined, reorganized, and with more regulation-driven version of the 14 policy. And finally, the ADDA-R is the, around the query policy, and it just clarifies a little bit more when query checks can be run, access control requirements, training, rules on access for query for hiring, questioning subjects about query, decision process, and logs. So you have that before you. I know it's a lot. It's one of the reasons why we do our 3 readings, to give everyone the ability to go back, read it over. If anyone is watching from home, gives them the ability. We don't want to slide in a policy without having people have the opportunity to do the 3 readings and do that. So this is past 1. We'll do the same thing at the 18th, and the same one on April 8th, and then get A done, and then move to B.
Any
All
questions?
right, and I think that's it.
Awesome. Moving on to the business and operations report.
Great, thank you. I want to start with a few reclassifications. Are they looking for a motion to accept reclassification number 6? And what this does is reclasses a few items to their appropriate budgeted line items. And the last is we would like to align with the town to help with some GASB software rules. Again, just a reclass from one account number to the other.
Anybody have any questions? Be looking for a motion?
So moved. I gotta open it up, hold on.
Oh, I've got it. I move
you.
to approve FY 2026 reclassification number 6 at tonight's school committee meeting, March 4th, 2026.
Motion made by Meg, seconded by?
Julia.
Seconded by Julia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Thank you.
Thanks for the assist.
I'm looking at it.
Froze on it.
Moving right along, item that was on the agenda last month, or last meeting, did some research. We are talking about athletic fees. There was a proposal made to increase the high school athletic fees to $215 per sport and $195 for the middle school. There is a full breakdown included. There will be a break, family break, with multiple students and multiple sports. What was asked, so that all still remains the same. You had asked for some area comparisons. You will see included in there, I did all of our valley. I took a look at the valley to see what was going on. So our proposal for FY '27 again is $215 for the high school. What we have listed is FY '26, and it ranges from $200 to $325 with just one town not having fees, which is Millbury. And Grafton right now has a proposal, and their proposal could be anywhere from $200 to $300. They're in the middle of voting for that as well for next year. So you will see, based on those that do have FY '26, we're coming in actually on the very low end of what I am proposing for athletic fees. What will these fees do? They will help offset our costs. Is this going to take over everything out of the general budget? Absolutely not. It's not. We were just looking to give a moderate increase to help out with some of the transportation costs or the coaching costs. Estimated at about $10,000 is what this would give us in funding and revenue.
Anyone have any questions?
No, but I have something to say.
Absolutely.
This is a really, really tough one. For anybody at home that watched the last meeting, there was some, I think, really good discussion around the increase of fees for the preschool and for the athletic fees. And, you know, in light of yet another budget bummer discussion, it's really hard to look at this and to vote no, right? And especially where you're thinking we're going, oh, like, let's just shop around, like for things that we need, right? So it is really hard. But it is my opinion that offering athletics is part of the public school education. And while our neighboring towns, most of them, it looks like the majority except for Millbury, are charging more in fees, we have to be mindful of that elephant in the room that I like to refer to as BVT, where their athletic program, I think, if online is to be believed, is $50 per student.
It is.
So that's somewhat concerning. You know, to me, that's just another reason why families may decide to go there. So increasing, while on one hand would help offset the budget that we need the help, on the other, it is increasing that barrier to a full-rounded educational experience and also giving parents another reason to go to BVT. So it's a very tough position to be in. I don't know how my fellow committee members will vote. I guess I'll find out in a second. But this is just something to be mindful of, I think.
I would add to that, you know, I come from a household that, you know, we believe that public education should provide these opportunities at no cost. You know, I'm a little jealous that Millbury has that mall, bringing in all that money. I'm sure that's how they are able to do that. We obviously don't have the same kind of funds here. I agree with everything you said. I do not think that a $40 increase is going to be the deciding factor between whether or not you stay in Douglas or go to BVT. I know what you mean, but I just don't think that's going to be the calling of what draws students away from us. And I think for my own personal, you know, what we do here on the committee is make sure that we can hold up the Douglas school system and that we can offer these things. I know when Teresa was on the school committee, we heard often about when they had to do all of the fundraising for our athletic program. We had no dollars for it. And so I never want to put our parents in that position again. So I hear you. I just think the school committee, you know, we have to put the budget as one of our top priorities. And if we're going to be in line with other public schools in the valley, I think we're still there and even still undercharging.
I guess my only question is, what if a student or family cannot pay? What is the mechanism for them to apply for a waiver? Is there one?
We do have a fee waiver, and on the high school website, the fee waiver is noted up there, and it flows through the business office.
And we have it for the middle school too as well. So
Yes, we do.
I just want to make sure people are
Yes, we do.
aware of that,
Yes.
because I'm the senior member. I've been held fast at keeping that rate as low as possible to break barriers for the children that need to have athletics, you know, or those afternoon activities for them to do something in the town. I too echo your sentiments, but at the same time, we're crunching that budget, and there is nothing left to give. And I know this is a huge barrier. It could be a barrier for some of our kids to be able to participate. But there are waivers available, so please make sure, if you're on the fence, don't know, please ask the administration at your school. They will be able to point you in the right direction. So, there's tough choices. There are no easy answers. There are tough choices that we're going to have to make. So, and this is one of them. So, without further ado, I'd be looking for a motion.
I will, as a fellow educator and coach of 20 years, I will move to approve the attached FY 2027 recommended athletic fee schedule, Douglas High School and Douglas Middle School, proposed school committee meeting February 4th, 2026, increase the current fees for the high school to $215 with the approved individual and family caps of $195 for the middle school per student per sport, no cap.
Motion made by Becky, seconded by?
Second with the note March 4th.
March 4th.
Seconded by Meg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Thank you.
It's a tough one. last two are easy. The money is flowing the right way. It is coming in. We have a couple of donations, if you could please accept. And the first is from Special Olympics, and this is earmarked specifically for the unified basketball team. They have donated $2,000. So I'd be looking for a motion to accept the donation.
Motion to accept the donation for Special Olympics Unified Team?
Basketball.
Basketball?
Yep.
Motion made by Becky, seconded by?
Meg.
Second by Meg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstained? Thank you, Special Olympics.
Thank you.
And our next donation is from Hannaford. When you give your receipts at Hannaford, the middle school was signed up to get a portion of those receipts, and they sent our donation over to be used at the discretion of the middle school for middle school students. So I'd be looking for a motion to accept their donation of $492.
Motion to accept the donation from Hannaford in the amount of $492.
Motion made by Becky, seconded by?
Meg.
Second by Meg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Thank you to the middle school and thank you to Hannaford's.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Okay, so I just have one small little thing. I am up for reelection, as I did not know, but now I know. I'm it. I'm going to ask that we do something different. I am still willing to come back if I don't get reelected to do the superintendent's evaluation. I will do my write-up and then come back in and be part of whoever takes over if I don't get reelected. That way, we don't have to rush because the budget is going to kill us. And we're in the middle of that, and then we can take our time in May, June timeframe to go through the superintendent's
Thank you.
report. So I think that makes sense if everybody's in agreement with that.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing I wanted to talk to you about.
Through you, just one small issue.
Yep.
It's not even an issue. Just more of a follow-up. I think in our last meeting, I had asked a question about whether or not we need to appoint or reappoint the law office or the lawyer.
I talked to our attorney. He said it is not a legal requirement. It's the prerogative of the school department. He said most school departments don't,
Right.
but some feel like they need to, so.
That's the answer. Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then the only other business item is the Massachusetts School Association has moved November 4th through the 6th. It's in Danbury?
Danvers.
Danvers. So, just to put it on your calendars now, so it's a nicer location. But,
What'd you say, November 4th through the?
Yeah.
November 4th
Wednesday
through the 6th.
through Friday.
So, just for folks, if they're not tracking, track now. And that's all I have, and I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn our meeting today, March 4th, 2026.
At 7:38, seconded by?
Meg.
Seconded by Meg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. See you on March 18th. Thank you.
Have a good night.